sound.
We have sound this time.
Hello. How's everybody?
Hey, gang. Well, we're on episode 7.
Okay.
Right?
I thought it was 8.
I think it's 7.
Okay. We're on episode
Well, I
7.
did the last episode by myself, which was kind of a bummer. It's hard to do, doing a podcast by myself. It was hard for me anyways.
Yeah, you're not used to talking to yourself.
No, so I tried to talk a little bit more to the camera. I don't know how it worked out. But what we decided to do is to kind of change up our format a little bit and do not necessarily reaction videos, but just kind of our responses and kind of a reaction to movies we watch. We're not going to be filming ourselves while we're watching it, though.
Right.
So it's not technically one of the typical reaction videos, but
More of a response to something we've watched.
a review.
A review.
It's a good review.
What he said.
Yeah. So this week, one of the things, well, I got a list of 4 movies from some guy on TikTok. Not me personally. He just posted it, a video of 4 movies to watch on TikTok. And I think
4 not popular movies, right?
Right. And they're documentaries. And I think all 4 of them might be crime documentaries.
I think they were.
Okay.
Yeah, of some kind.
We tried to watch one of them yesterday, and we ended up watching the whole thing, and we decided, let's not do a response on that because it was kind of boring.
The biggest thing about that one that I took from that one that kind of goes with this next one that we talked about is how Europe, up until that one, didn't have serial killers.
Right. Okay, that's something they brought up in the last one, which I already forgot the name of. But this one is called Murder by the Coast. It's on Netflix. It's a Netflix original. It came out last year.
Right.
And before I looked it up, I had to search for it. It didn't pop up on my screen of my Netflix screen. I had to search for it.
Right.
So we just finished watching it about 15, 20 minutes ago. Mm-hmm. And we want to do this kind of right away because I have a short memory. And I'll forget about what it was about. I even have notes.
But just kind of going through the quicker premise of what had happened and what did we think about the overall.
Right. There may be some spoilers in here.
Right.
But not enough for somebody to decide not to watch it. But if you heard enough already and you don't want to hear any more about this movie, go ahead and stop it now. Watch the movie, come back, finish watching our video.
Let us know what you think.
And let us know what you think and let us know if we got something wrong.
Right.
Or if we're way off about this and what your thoughts are about the movie. Well, Murder by the Coast, it starts back in 1999 with this young woman. She was 19 years old. Her name was Rocio, which I thought, I've never heard that name before.
Yeah, that was definitely interesting.
Rocio,
just the name was.
She was a soccer player. She was with friends. And she went home one evening, and she never made it all the way home. She made it to her doorstep.
No, that's the other girl. That's Sonia.
Oh, okay. She made it near.
She was supposed to meet them at the fair, the first Rosario, and she never met her friends at the fair.
Right. And then her mom realized that she wasn't home.
Right.
So her mom went out looking for her. Mm-hmm. And not too far from the house, she finds bloodstains on the ground.
Right.
And didn't think too much of it right away. But
no, thought it was maybe an animal had been killed.
So she ends up finding her sneaks.
Right, which they call trainers. In Spain.
And I guess we should tell you this story takes place in Spain.
The second half does. The first half is...
It was in Spain.
Was it all?
Yeah, because it all was in kind of in a small area.
Okay.
That this happened in.
Oh, that's right. You're right.
And, of course, she freaks out because she finds some of her kids' belongings with blood on it. Mm-hmm. Calls the police, and they search for her for days and days and days. And
25 days.
25 days, and they finally find her body.
But far away. I mean, she wasn't near the crime scene as they, like people talk about. She definitely was moved.
Yeah, she was moved, but it wasn't super far. It was like just
20 miles.
20 miles.
20 kilometers, so 30 miles.
No. 20 kilometers, so about like 17 miles. You have it backwards.
Oh.
Okay.
Oops.
So my number's not correct either, but it's less than.
It's something like that. But she was not near where they found the blood and the shoes.
So they find her body, and it's just 25 days later, and it's already almost just a skeleton because of the heat and the humidity and the rain, and I guess the climate in that part of Spain.
Speeds up the decomp.
Yeah. So near the body, they find a trash bag containing her belongings, her clothes and stuff like that.
Right.
And on that trash bag, there's fingerprints.
Right.
And near the crime scene, there was tire marks.
Mm-hmm. And cigarette butts.
And cigarette butts. And they were able to determine what kind of car and tires left the mark. And with the cigarette butts, they had DNA. They gathered DNA from that. So they go through this investigation, which I hesitate. It's barely an investigation, which really freaks me out about European justice system. Mm-hmm. It's not like it is in the United States. Well, anyways, there was a woman who was the partner of the missing girls' mothers.
Right.
Did I say that right?
The woman was dating the mom.
Yeah, right. Was she living with them?
They all lived together. Yeah. She helped raise the girl.
Right. So a close, I guess, family member.
Yeah.
Right? She was seen by somebody. They didn't even say who the somebody was, did they?
It was her housekeeper.
Seen by the housekeeper. This woman, her name, I forgot her name. I wrote it down.
Dolores.
Dolores Vasquez. That's right. Dolores was seen stabbing a picture of the missing girl.
Right.
Which I guess was enough for the police to arrest her and charge her with murder.
Yeah.
And they came up with this phony story saying that Dolores didn't like the daughter because the daughter didn't care for the mom's relationship. And they started using, I guess, which would be true, like discrimination against lesbians. Mm-hmm. To say, well, maybe cast a moral judgment on her, saying, well, if she's a lesbian, she must be a murderer.
They went crazy and tried to make her very manly,
right,
by things they said, and really twisted who she was as a person
because she liked sports.
Yeah, she liked sports.
Yeah,
and because what was the other? There was a couple other things that they were trying to use against her to make her more manly and more aggressive.
So I guess in Spain, anyways, they don't need that much evidence to arrest somebody for a crime.
I guess not.
And to send them to trial and to charge them.
Well, and like you mentioned when we were just talking a little bit ago, is that they were still doing the investigation why this woman was on trial.
Yeah, they were trying to get her to confess in open court, which is so bizarre. And I don't know anything about the Spanish crime system or criminal justice system, but it seems like you have to prove yourself innocent.
Mm-hmm. Because that's how it seemed.
She didn't say much, and by not saying much, she must be a murderer.
Right.
And the media helped push that narrative.
Yeah, like crazy.
Right. And so it was, you don't want to get arrested. Which reminds me of another show I want to watch about, what's that American's name that was arrested in Italy for murdering her roommate, Knox. Is it Samantha Knox?
Oh, maybe. I don't remember. I don't know.
We need to watch that. There's another documentary about her, which that one's a pretty bizarre story from what I know about. This had kind of similar. You don't want to get arrested in Europe for a crime because they'll just put you away. Although, well, they tried her. They found her guilty.
Mm-hmm. She was in jail.
But they only sentenced her to 15 years.
For murder.
And not just murder, a brutal murder.
Right, because everything was only circumstantial. That's probably why it was such a lesser charge.
Yeah, but you're either guilty or not guilty.
I don't know. I agree. I thought the whole thing was bizarre.
Right. So she's in jail for a couple years, and that happened back in 1999. And then in 2003, a young woman... 2003, I wrote it down.
Oh, okay.
Named Sonia, and I think she was only 15. Mm-hmm. She did not come home.
Right. She made it to her door but not into the house.
Right. And Mom went looking for her and found blood real close to the house,
Right. Found blood on the dad's car.
along with their personal belongings.
And then three houses down was her purse, her phone, and her shoes.
Right.
The shoes. That's interesting that there were shoes found at both.
They must have
Crime
struggled
scenes.
so hard. Well, one was sort of like flip-flop sandals.
Right, but the other ones were, tennis shoes.
Oh, the sneaks.
Yeah, that takes a lot to get
Well, if you're
those shoes
struggling
off.
for your life, you'd easily lose your shoes, I think.
And together. I don't know. I just thought that was interesting. Anyhow,
Mm-hmm.
so they find her belongings, but not her. Her body was also missing.
Right. And then after a period of time, 25 miles away from where the blood was found near their house, they find her body.
And a lot quicker than the first girl's
Right.
body.
And same thing, they find cigarette butts.
Mm-hmm.
And they send them away for DNA analysis. And
They get a hit from the first DNA.
right, which this murderer has to be a complete idiot.
He has completed.
Well,
To leave fingerprints and
your DNA.
your DNA.
Right.
You would think he's an idiot, but maybe he just didn't.
Or maybe we just know so much about it because we watch a lot of American TV.
Maybe. Well, maybe it was maybe DNA was still kind of new then, but not really.
What surprised me, they had a show that they talked about a little bit, kind of like Unsolved Mysteries that they showed in
Yeah,
Europe.
similar.
So you'd think they would talk a little bit about DNA and the public would have an idea what the investigators are capable of doing, right?
Right.
Okay, well, the killer must not he either didn't care or super arrogant, didn't think he'd get caught, or he was stupid.
And thought he'd get away with it.
Yeah, thought I'd get away with it. Well, it kind of course, that since that DNA matched, I mean, the first lady gets out of jail, and of course, she's super bitter, which is understandable.
Right.
We don't want to get too much more into it as far as what happens next on how they end up catching the killer, the real killer, other than the DNA, kind of his history and how they were able to
Piece it all together.
piece it all together, right? So,
It was really interesting.
good movie, not the best. European documentaries, I've only seen a couple of them, but both of this they had in common was that they're not as dramatic as the American crime documentaries.
True.
They kind of just real matter of fact.
Well, and they don't go through all of the, the reenactment.
Oh yeah, and this
Just
is
like Americans do. We want to know. We want to see it.
right.
And they didn't do that. It was just like, hey, here's the
timeline.
the timeline of events, and here's people talking about their experience, and then here's the conclusion.
There wasn't much suspense.
No,
Yeah.
there was a twist,
There
which
was
was
a
cool.
twist, yeah.
That was cool.
Right. So either way, again, it is called Murder by the Coast on Netflix. If there's anything you want us to talk about in the future, as far as streaming videos go, or streaming movies or documentaries, crime documentaries, well, it doesn't have to be a crime documentary.
Any kind.
Any kind. Let us know in the comments if you watch this movie and there's something that we probably missed, or we may have missed. Let us know.
Just your thoughts and feelings. So, what did you think about
Yeah.
it? We'd
And
love to hear your advice.
And please hit subscribe and like so we could get our video out there. And thanks for watching.
Bye.
Bye, folks.